7 o'clock.
Let me ask you this, waivers. What landmarks come to mind when you think of global metropolitan city? Okay, so think about that. Well, I think often people might say gleaming skyscrapers, or maybe, many of them being five-star hotels or resorts. But Busan actually doesn't have much in terms of integrated resorts that encompass MICE facilities and hotels. This isn't just about having, fancy structures. It's about building up the city's MICE industry and getting Busan closer to its goal of becoming a true global hub city. I'm Catherine. This is Morning Wave in Busan on Friday, October 25th on BEFM, 부산영어방송. Good morning, Wavers. It's that day we've been waiting for. That's right, Friday. It's finally here. And so we are ready to kick off our Friday morning together. We are continuing our discussion on this issue, Busan as a global hub city. And what makes a city a global hub? Isn't that a good question? Have we really thought about it? Well, yesterday we addressed the issue of airports and Kim not having enough international flights that come, in and out of Busan. Another key aspect of becoming this global hub is MICE, right? This sector includes infrastructure for tourism involving meetings, that's the M, I, incentives, C, conventions, and E, exhibitions, aka large-scale events. So that's what MICE is, by the way. And this has become the key sector in the post-pandemic tourism industry. But this also requires the city to have the necessary infrastructure to back that up, such as integrated resorts. So Busan, for the time being, has Bexco and BPEX at Busan Port, which can accommodate maybe up to just under the 10,000 people mark, maybe altogether. But Bexco's two exhibition halls are about 60% full, and the city is working on a third exhibition hall. In the meantime, conventions, and they have to go to hotels, universities, or these, unique venues throughout the city, which, while charming, are sometimes just not big enough. So experts and industry insiders point out that Busan needs to up its MICE game in order to launch, as a true global hub. So that's our focus for today. Now, for the fun part, text topic time. What song or songs would you like to see get a remake or climb back up the music charts? 오, 리메이크 됐으면 좋겠다 하는 노래. 다시 역주행했으면 좋겠다는 옛 노래. 오, 여러분의 추억 속 명곡을 꺼내주세요. Let's bring it all out. All the good songs, right? And I know sometimes they say, oh, don't touch a classic. Like this song is so good, it's perfect, don't touch it. But there are other songs, from the past where you think, oh, I would love to see this remade into a modern version. So that's what we're talking about, whether it is, pop in general, K-pop, or any other genre like rock, whatever you like, maybe even rap. You can send in your messages to live streaming on, our live stream, live chat on YouTube. So what you do is search for BEFM or 부산영어방송 and you subscribe. You can log in and then our very lively chat board. So much fun in our chat room on YouTube, I promise you. Also on your phone, pound 9050 shop 9050. That's going to cost you 101. You can reach me for free through our Kakao Talk channel as well. And the ways you can listen to us here on BFM Morning Wave in Busan, well, you can on your radio turn to 90.5 or 103.3 FM, depending on where you are in the Busan area. And like I said, we are streaming in real time right now on YouTube, and you can use that platform to watch again at your leisure. Also, we have two apps. You can download the BEFM app, go to your store and download it. Same thing. Search for BEFM or 부산영어방송. And we're also available on the Patbang app as well. It is Friday, so who do we have coming in today? We have a Casey for Foreign Press Highlights. We have Vasana with his truly wacky What in the World? And then for a special interview. Oftentimes we focus on teachers and we talk about students' mental health. But going back to the whole teacher idea, don't our teachers deserve to be happy? I mean, to me, happy teacher equals happy students. Well, we're going to talk about happiness, a happiness class in particular for teachers. What a fascinating idea. That's coming up in hour number 2. I'll be back with today's headlines. It is now 7:06, and these are today's headlines. South Korea could send arms to Ukraine as North Korean troop movements detected. President Yoon Suk-yeol said yesterday that South Korea could consider providing arms to Ukraine depending on the extent of military cooperation between Russia and North Korea. Putin does not deny North Korean troop deployment to Russia. Russian President Vladimir Putin has sidestepped claims that North Korea has sent soldiers to Russia, insisting that it was up to Moscow how to run its mutual defense clause with Pyongyang. Abductee families group vows to send leaflets to Pyongyang next week. A group representing the families of those abducted by North Korea vowed to fly leaflets from Paju into North Korea next week. Prosecutors request fine for Lee Jae-myung's wife over alleged election law violations. The Suwon District Prosecutor's Office again demanded a 30 million won fine against the wife of opposition leader Lee Jae-myung on charges of providing free meals to several people ahead of the 2021 party election. Inspector General nomination sparks rift within ruling party. Ruling People Power Party or PPP chiefs Han Dong-hoon's call for appointing an independent inspector general investigating corruption by the president's family has revealed fault lines within the party's leadership. And these are today's headlines. Time to say hi to Haley first. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's that day, Friday.
Yay, happy Friday.
Yes. And we have such a fun text topic today. Songs, music, remake. If you could choose a song or songs to have, somebody, an artist, not you and I, we
do sing in the shower and occasionally at 노래방, but not for release to the public.
Yeah, that would be scary. So what song would you like to see remade?
I know recently, second generation / first generation, BoA and 21 of K-pop artists had their they're having had a tour. They had a concert, a reunion concert. So I would love to see their music because everyone's biased towards a certain generation of K-pop, but I was raised on second gen and that's Girls' Generation, 21, Wonder Girls, 2 a.m., 2 p.m., all of them. I would like to see their songs climb back up the charts or someone remake them. So because I still listen to them. They're such a fun workout track, but then I also feel like an old person because those songs were released 10 plus years ago.
Right.
And I'm this isn't the 신곡, this isn't the new, it's of course it's not. But yeah, I'm can we have
Speaking
it be
of
the hot song?
The second generation,
Yeah.
I forgot what I was watching, but channel surfing, and I saw kind of a remake done of what was 2 p.m. something about
Barbie?
집으로 가자?
우리 집.
우리 집. And I was kind of like, whoa, that's like a new interpretation on
That's a good
that.
song.
Yeah, it's a really good song, but I didn't realize how good it was until I kind of heard it again.
We don't appreciate it until we hear it again. Yeah.
Right, and I was just like, oh, so I listened to the original again after having heard that. And I was like, sounds pretty good still.
Yes.
We're going to jump into our updates. For our first bit of Busan news, there was a huge fire at a U.S. Forces Korea warehouse.
Right, so a huge fire broke out at the U.S. Forces Korea's 55th Supply Depot located in Pomildong, Donggu District. It broke out around 6:30 last night, continued into the night. It is more or less extinguished, but it seems smoke is still coming out of it. So this is a warehouse for the U.S. troops, but the particular building was going under construction to be used for something else. So it was fairly empty. And the fire broke out an hour after all the construction workers had left for the day. Firefighters have put out most of the flames after 4 hours. Thankfully, no casualties, and there was no military equipment inside. But the fire agency did have to raise the response level to level 2, and they used some 50 trucks and 160 firefighters to extinguish the fire. A handful of U.S. military personnel and equipment were dispatched to the scene as well.
Well, once again, the good news is no one was hurt, so that's always of utmost importance. Next, we're going to talk about the state of Busan's population. 인구?
Right, 인구. So for the first 8 months of this year, Busan's population naturally declined, and that was by the biggest margin ever. So in August of this year, there were 1,071 newborns born out of Busan, which is a 2.7% decline. And this is actually an anomaly from the general figures nationwide, because we reported yesterday that nationwide, the birth rate actually rebounded, went up for the second consecutive month.
Yes.
Not so much in Busan. And Busan's birth rate for every 1,000 people, it was the lowest out of the 7 metropolitan cities and Seoul. On the other hand, though, the number of deaths in Busan decreased, but it was still higher than the number of births at 2,442. So that means for the month of August, Busan's population naturally declined by 1,371 people.
Yeah, so that's the natural decline. What about those leaving our city for other areas?
Right, so the exodus, so that trend continued as well. So for September, in this case, 1,127 people left Busan City, and half of them went to the capital areas, Seoul, Gyeonggi, and Incheon.
Yes.
But let's end on a final bit of good news. Marriage rates are on the rise. And they're seen as kind of precursors to a rebound in the birth rate because, well, naturally, usually there's like a 2-year gap between when the marriage rate starts going up and the birth rate rebounding. So in August, 941 couples got married, and that's up 21% from the same time last year. And that's a 5th month of consecutive rises. So fingers crossed.
Yay. So maybe in 2 years, we'll have some good news.
Yeah.
We're going to move on to another demographic issue, particularly using the 50 to 60s age group as a major part of the workforce.
Right. So the city held an emergency economic response meeting earlier this week and came up with measures to really more actively engage this middle-aged to senior group in the job market. So the key is to have this near retirement or post-retirement age group get into local jobs, and those who are able to kind of lengthen their retirement or delay their retirement, stay there longer to really mobilize the local economy.
Yes.
So the city's going to come up with a job platform because where you can find these jobs is really important. Right now, they're kind of scattered throughout different public institutions. They're going to integrate that all together. And this is key because especially the older middle-aged group, people in their 50s, they're very adept at using computers. I mean, they've had to do that all their careers.
Sure.
And Busan's going to work to expand jobs in both the public and the private sectors.
Well, thank you for covering this issue. Our next story is somewhat linked to our top story today, but kind of in the other direction. There are talks of a hotel going up in Minlak, which raises concerns of overdevelopment.
Right. So we do want these so-called integrated resorts that kind of have the large MICE industry infrastructure, but we should always keep in consideration the residents of a neighborhood, nature, the environment, and all of that. So currently we're talking about this site of the Minlak Amusement Park or the old Min락유원지 in Suyeong District. So the company Hyupsung Construction, they have submitted plans to build this massive 6-star hotel as a landmark. And according to its plans, which has already passed the Urban Planning Committee, the building will be a partial hotel and a residence. It's called 생활형 숙박시설 at 42 stories tall. And the goal is to boost tourism in the Suyeonggu area. But here's the thing about the site. If you can see on our YouTube channel, it's a massive plot of greenery. It's an urban forest. So it was previously still is a natural site, but its land designation, so for land purposes, changed to a semi-residential area. So what that means that it cannot, whatever building that is built on that property, cannot be a full-out apartment. It can only be a 준주거 시설.
Right.
So it cannot be an apartment or like an office style. So that raises concerns of overdevelopment because usually the thing about these like semi-residence hotels is that people just kind of move in there on more permanent basis anyway.
Right.
So, and that has then the risk of privatizing this public scenic property. So the construction company, though, did say that it is going to put in some public features there, including a 들락날락 children's space and an open observatory on the top floors to increase its public usage.
Yes. All right. Thank you for that information. Lastly, we're going to talk about Busan's barefoot walking, or we call it earthing. The last event will take place next week.
Right, so that will be for the entire year, of course, to come back next year. But Songjeong Beach will be the home to the last Earthing Festival of the year. So Busan City this year launched a series of campaigns to kind of turn itself into the earthing capital of the country. And the fourth and final event for the year will be at Songjeong Beach on November 9th, Saturday. It is a very open, kind of a simplified version of the previous iterations, which previously people were assigned into walking groups and they had to walk a certain number of kilometers and complete challenges.
Yes.
But this time, it's kind of open. It's voluntary and it's individual. You pretty much go there whenever you want during the time of the event, walk, complete the challenge, and go. So the times are between 1 p.m. and 5 p.m. on next Saturday. You walk 2 kilometers barefoot. Doable. It's going to take you about 40 minutes on average. And at the beginning, though, if you do go there at 1 p.m., there will be a musical performance and stretching. Always important. Also, fun raffle event. And I saw the list of gifts. I mean, I can't name the brands, but like there are hotel vouchers. A lot of fun stuff going on. So if you want to participate, you do have to sign up online in advance. This is earthing.busan.com. First come, first serve basis to 5,000 people.
All right. I hope that many people partake in this. Well, thank you for the updates, Haley. We'll check in with you news in just a little bit. But for now, it's back to you, the waivers. We're talking about our text topic. What song would you love to see a remake of? Or maybe there's a song you're hoping, hey, this was so good. Why wasn't it a hit the first time around? I would love to see it climb back up, 역주행, up the charts again is what we're talking about. So for the time being, here's our traffic and weather. It is now 7:18. Here's your traffic report for right now. There is an accident being reported on Gwangan Bridge going toward Haeundae, but it's by the Namcheon ramp. Please be aware of this. As you know, anything that happens on Gwangan Bridge, that's going to cause congestion. Also, slow on Luno Samsungdae from Myeongji Underpass to Shino Bridge. Also backed up on the Dongso Overpass from Pumnikor Ramp to the Old Kegum Tollgate. Currently, it is 16 degrees Celsius under clear skies. It's going to go up to 24 today with partially cloudy skies later on. Looking ahead to the weekend, tomorrow, very mild day with a low of 18, a high of 23. And then on Sunday, it's going to dip down slightly with an expected low of 15, but a high of 23 as well. And there's a chance of rain on Sunday. This was your traffic and weather.
Are you an early bird? Are you up to date on the news? Are you a trendsetter? For all of the biggest issues from Busan to the world and useful information you need, right here on Morning Wave in Busan.
It's time for news. We have Haley. She's still in the studio with us. And we're going to jump into this controversy regarding North Korea's troop deployment to Russia. It's continuing, and now President Vladimir Putin, he has kind of made, I guess you would say, his first admission, kind of, sort of, maybe.
It's like italics, air quotes, everything.
Yes.
It's so vague.
Okay.
But after about a week, 2 weeks of flat out denial,
Yes.
Putin has not denied the reports. I mean, this is the only way we can put it. So this was at the end of the BRICS summit, and he was asked from a reporter about the troop movement specifically because there are satellite images that show North Korean troops being moved. He said, well, if there are images are a serious thing.
Okay.
If there are images, then they reflect something.
It's so vague, but that's a veiled confirmation.
That
to
is
me,
a very
to
thinly
me.
veiled. Well, it's veiled. Not thinly.
IMHO, but still.
He in particular also mentioned Article 4 of this comprehensive strategic partnership that
Yes.
Pyongyang and Moscow signed. Basically, it's a mutual defense clause. If one country is under attack or at war, the other can and will come to its assistance, which
Yes.
also another veiled confirmation. He also then tried to shift blame onto the West for the war in Ukraine and said that he has evidence that NATO members, NATO officers and instructors are directly involved with the Ukrainian war. So kind of a justification of why he's bringing his own allies into this.
Yes.
And then also for another bit of confirmation, the White House has said that it has evidence that North Korea has moved at least 3,000 troops to the far eastern parts of Russia from Wonsan. They're being trained right now. And this is from the White House National Security Communications Advisor, John Kirby,
Yes.
who also expressed concerns over the possibility of North Korean soldiers joining Russia in battle, in combat. However, he did add that it's too early to assess the impact because, I mean, given the vast swaths of land in Russia and the large number of soldiers, 3,000 isn't much, but it implies much, much more.
Yes.
However, though, he did add that if North Korean soldiers are in combat, then it's pretty much fair game. He quote, they would be, quote, a legitimate game. And by game, we don't mean like games that in the normal sense, but like game to be hunted. And legitimate target. That the Ukrainian military will defend itself against the North Korean military if it comes to that. And also he added that the development would demonstrate Russia's growing desperation in the war.
Oh, well, South Korean Defense Minister Kim Yong-hyun, he also weighed in on this very same matter.
Right. So during a closer parliamentary panel, Kim Yong-hyun told the panel that the military does use the term deployment or 파병, that he, in his opinion, they're more like mercenary soldiers, 용병. And the difference is if a country deploys its soldiers in official capacity, the soldiers maintain their home country's military leadership structure.
Okay.
They wear the home country's uniform
Sure.
under the flag and serve proudly. However, the defense minister said that the North Korean soldiers are being disguised in Russian uniform under Russian controls and move as they're told. So basically, Kim said that these soldiers that are mercenaries who would be used as human shields, cannon fodder was his specific term.
Yes.
And also, the defense minister said that Kim Jong-un is selling his soldiers to this illegal invasion to solidify his regime.
I see. Well, in the meantime, the Ukrainian government has called on the North Korean soldiers to actually surrender.
Right. So the Ukrainian military actually, or the defense intelligence rather, has a surrender hotline for Russian soldiers as well. It's called I Want to Live.
Okay.
And it has called on North Korean soldiers to avoid participating in combat. So the project sent out a message, don't die senselessly on foreign soil.
Okay.
Do not repeat the fate of hundreds of other Russian soldiers. And if they surrender, they offered shelter, food, and warmth, and offered that those who surrender can live in comfortable conditions, receiving 3 hot meals a day and medical care.
Yes. So that's what's going on. One of the biggest stories here on the peninsula. All right, so we're going to talk about another relationship. South Korea and the Philippines 2 weeks ago raised their relationship to what's called a strategic partnership. So to that end, the presidents of the two respective countries, they agreed to secure the safety of their respective citizens. So let's kind of delve into this issue.
Right. So we've covered this particular case, but the issue was raised upon the kidnapping and brutal murder of a Korean businessman, Mr. Ji-Ju, in the Philippines. This happened back in 2016.
Right.
He was kidnapped by a member of the powerful police drug enforcement team. And recently that officer, the defendant, Rafael Dumlao, was found guilty and sentenced to life, but he fled because he wasn't detained.
Yes.
Right. So this is still happening, years later. But despite even the guilty verdict, there are still questions, including why Chi in particular became their target in the first place.
Yes.
And there were suspicions that others higher up the police force were involved, but why that track basically turned cold.
Yeah, so this whole matter, though, it really does speak to the larger issue of safety in the Asia-Pacific region as a whole, does it not?
Right. So in the last 5 years, there have been 3,000 South Korean nationals who had been victims or involved in accidents and criminal acts. And this is in the Philippines, just simply, including robbery and even murder.
Yes.
If we expand that to the general Asia-Pacific region, a total of 26,000 South Korean nationals had been victims in such incidents in the last 5 years. But in the order of countries where these incidents happened, number 1 was China, followed by Japan, and then third, the Philippines. So China and Japan, there are large numbers of South Koreans living there and traveling there. But in the Philippines, it is kind of disproportionate to how many people do actually live or go there.
Yes.
So recently, South Korea and Japan, they signed an agreement to work together to protect the citizens of their respective countries, of each other, not only in the two countries, but also in other nations. So they're expanding that sphere of protection. But that's it. No other agreement has been made with other countries. And interestingly, though, the South Korean police agency has its officials dispatched in 33 different countries,
right,
in embassies and consulates, including 2 at the South Korean embassy in Manila and 1 in Cebu. They do work with the local authorities in various criminal cases. However, in the murder case going back to Mr. Ji-Ju, the government has only maintained the position that it is providing consular assistance. So despite there being South Korean police officers, they're not getting involved.
Okay.
And of course, we do have to think of the jurisdiction and sovereignty. But there are calls for follow-up measures to the agreement that President Yoon Suk-yeol signed with Philippines President Ferdinand Marcos. So hopefully something will come out of that.
Yes, indeed. And of course, we would always tell, anybody traveling abroad, whether it is to any of these countries that we mentioned, always be extra careful these days. We hear so many of these terrible stories, right? All right, for our final story, we're going to go to the U.S. for the presidential election. The countdown to November 5th. It is getting closer. So count down once again.
Well, the candidates are cracking down against each other, so you wouldn't be wrong. But the Democratic Party candidate, Vice President Kamala Harris, she is headed to Georgia, so it's swing states time.
Yes.
She is also pulling out all the stops, all the stars in her campaign's contacts, including Barack Obama, who is wildly popular. It's been 10 years since he's exited politics. Also, Bruce Springsteen. And then in Texas, Houston, Beyonce will be joining her. So once again, all the heavy hitters.
I saw a clip yesterday of Barack Obama. He was actually
rapping
Eminem. That was I wish we had that clip.
Yeah.
Yes. All right.
And then Donald Trump.
We gotta cover the other side.
Former president, Republican candidate Donald Trump. He is headed to Arizona and Nevada. But he's trying to do damage control after the Hitler/fascist comments came out. So first, his former chief of staff, John Kelly, he said in an interview that Trump repeatedly praised Hitler, saying that he did some good things. And the thing to know about John Kelly, he is a career, I believe, Marine Corps general, one of the most highly decorated and respected generals. I was reading and listening to a New York Times podcast. They had been trying to contact him and get him to go on record for 4 years.
Yes.
Why it suddenly changed? Apparently, Trump said regarding people who had been killed in wars in Afghanistan and Iraq, what was in it for them? By the way, one of the people killed is John Kelly's son. So that was the outlet's analysis of what may have triggered it. Well, I'm taking this back to the campaign again. Harris brought this up, the Hitler fascist comment in a speech, and this is what she had to say. Let's take a listen.
Do you think Donald Trump is a fascist?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. And I also believe that the people who know him best on this subject should be trusted. Again, look at their careers. These were not politicians. These are career people who have served in the highest roles in national security, who have served as generals in our military, who are highly respected.
Right. So that is a clip from CNN in an interview, a town hall she did with CNN, with Anderson Cooper. And then things are piling up because a former model who says that she met Trump through the late sexual abuser, Jeffrey Epstein. So that's that link again. And she has accused Trump of allegedly having groped and sexually touching her in an incident back in 1993 at Trump Tower.
Well, so that's, what's going on right now. But Trump, he is also amping up his rhetoric against Kamala Harris. So.
Right. So things are getting vulgar. They're getting crude. So it's of the things that we can say on air. He called her the tax queen, that she wants to raise Americans' taxes at a rally in Georgia. And if you look at his campaign trail, Arizona, Nevada, especially Nevada, he's really going to focus on the economy.
Yes.
That's the strong suit. He called her crazy. It's that again. She cannot put two and two sentences together, using words like the loony bin, she has a low IQ, and he also said she's a blank vice president, and that word starts with an S and ends in T, and we can't fill in the middle. Right, so, and then going back to the Hitler and the fascist comment, Trump's campaign said Harris's comments are evidence that the Democrats are increasingly desperate, and that the town hall meeting in which this comment came out of from CNN was full of lies, smears, and radical leftism, rather.
Leftism.
Yes.
All right, well, we're going to hear about the results.
Things are heating up is the point, because the polls are closed. They're going neck and neck. Trump has a slight lead in the most recent poll. So things will definitely get dirty.
And the thing is, it's all like within the margin of error.
Right.
And like some polls say this and others say that. So we'll see what happens. Come November 5th, we'll be reporting it, of course, here on Morning Wave in Busan. So thank you for all the news. We'll check in with you in hour number 2. Thank you, Haley.
See you in a bit.
And with that, we are ready for our first song. So how about this one? This song is such a classic, right? And it's been, who requested it? It's Totori Waver, I Will Always Love You by Whitney Houston.
If I should stay, I would only be in your way. So I'll go, but I know I'll think of you every step of the way. And that is all I'm taking with me. So goodbye. Please don't cry. We both know I'm not what you need. And I will always love you. I will always love life treats you kind, and I hope you have all you dreamed of, and I wish you joy and happiness. But above all this, I wish you love. And I will always love you. I will always love you. I will always love you. Darling, I love you. I'll always love you.
Wait, Rich, do you remember when the music video for this came out? And that whole part where she pauses and then she opens her eyes and bursts out. Oh, still get chills. But yes, as Leslie pointed out, this is a remake of Dolly Parton's original song. So thank you, Dolly Parton, definitely, for that. And of course, Whitney Houston's iteration of that as well. Top story today, we're talking about Busan's MICE infrastructure, the basis for bringing large-scale events and large-scale visitors and corresponding economic effects for the local businesses here. One feature some experts say that Busan lacks is integrated resorts, which means like hotels having like convention centers there, performance centers, plus shopping malls and other forms of entertainment. Other South Korean cities like Incheon and Jeju have already gone ahead with these large-scale accommodations and MICE facilities. The reason these cities have built such facilities is the economic impact that they bring to the area. One such integrated resort in Incheon that opened this past March has created 5.8 trillion won in productivity. And then guess how many jobs were created? 28,000 jobs were created. Singapore marked a 14% economic growth this year with its landmark hotel when its landmark and hotel resort opened, right? And I know this is a complicated issue and there's a lot of money that has to go into building such a large-scale facility where it's like everything's there at your fingertips. But think about, what it's really going to take. First, we need public consensus. We need the environmental impact reports as well. And like I said earlier, the investment, the money that it's going to take to build something like this. And so, some experts are, of the position that, if you build it, they will come. Oh, I don't know. Is there like a Kevin Costner theme going on today with that song? And of course, from the Field of Dreams. Well, let's get back to our text topic. What song would you like to see get a remake or climb back on the music charts is our question posed to you. 리메이크, 이 곡 진짜 너무 좋은데 왜 리메이크 안 하지? 그런 곡이 있을 거예요. 혹은 왜 이 노래가 별로 인기가 없지? 나는 너무 좋은데 하고 그래서 역주행, like going back up the charts. Is there a song that you're thinking of right now? So going to some of your responses, I saw a couple interesting choices in the songs. Let's see. Leslie says there was a song that came out in 1984, Do They Know It's Christmas, which was a collaboration of all the hot British musicians of the time, and it was a benefit to raise money. I remember that. Yes, Band-Aid, I think that's what it was called, right? And that was such a, it was for the Ethiopian famine, a good cause, the song was good, all the artists came together. So having something like that, I agree, would be really, really good as well. And just one more for now. Benny, I think of Jay's 어제처럼 for the song that will make a return to the chart and a remake as well, since this has been a remake by some artists recently, was 방예담 is what he says. All right, for now though, while you think about some great songs, let's get to Kat's pick. For today's Cat's Pick, this term, pink cocaine, it's been popping up on the radar. Not just because it's been linked to the death of Liam Payne, but also with Sean P. Diddy Combs as well in that investigation. Here's a clip from ABC News.
Pink cocaine has also been mentioned in one of the civil lawsuits against Sean Diddy Combs. So what exactly is pink cocaine?
Eyewitness News reporter Leticia Juarez spoke to law enforcement and public health officials to find out what the drug is and what it does to the body.
Having no regrets.
A partial autopsy revealed former One Direction singer Liam Payne had multiple substances in his system when he plunged to his death from a third-floor balcony in Buenos Aires, Argentina. Toxicology results show he had a mix of drugs, including one called pink cocaine.
The first piece that we almost always see in pink or pink cocaine is ketamine, a dissociative drug, something that makes people feel like they're detached from reality. The second component is a psychedelic.
Bill Bodner is a former DEA agent. He says despite its name, oftentimes there is no cocaine in the toxic mix of drugs, which includes synthetics like ecstasy, methamphetamine, and benzodiazepines. The drug, also known as Tusi, acts as both a stimulant and a depressant.
Very, very cheap to make, and they can kind of tailor the drug to what the drug user is looking for, the perceived effects that the drug user is looking for.
Pink cocaine got its start in Latin American nightclubs as a party drug. Recently, it was linked to Sean Diddy Combs in a lawsuit filed by his former music producer, Rodney Jones. He alleges it was required all employees, from the butler, the chef to the housekeepers, to walk around with a pouch or fanny pack filled with cocaine, GHB, ecstasy, marijuana gummies, and Tusi, a pink drug that is a combination of ecstasy and cocaine. But like any drug, there are several dangerous side effects on the body and the user's perception of reality.
One of the things around mixtures such as this is people's behavior might become unpredictable and they might do things that they wouldn't have otherwise done.
The drug is also a possible factor in Payne's behavior in the minutes leading up to the 31-year-old's death. Pink cocaine is taking hold in the U.S. and has law enforcement and public health officials warning that the designer drug has a target audience.
If you've used it before and it went okay, there's an assumption that if you use it again, it will always be okay. And that's just not true.
So as you heard in that clip, a highly, highly dangerous drug. And the thing is, it's not even made with cocaine. It has all the other, stuff like meth and ketamine, etc., MDMA, and it's highly dangerous. So I did want to highlight it. It's just, yes, I'm sure nobody here would partake in it, but just be aware. This is a thing right now. This was your Cat's Pick for today.
Stay tuned. You're listening to Morning Wave in Busan.
How are you, Casey?
I'm good.
This is Foreign Press Highlights, by the way. We're talking about that. Like, I saw 고수's comment saying 정국이 형, 마이클 형이랑 콜라보 와 생각만 해도 짜릿해요. And the thing is, I was talking about that with our producer saying Jungkook should do a Michael Jackson remake, any of his songs, because he has the vibes and the voice to do it. And then you were mentioning another kosu. Your cilantro, we need an update. Sprouting?
It's
doing well?
Yes, my seeds are proactive. I just picked the wrong word, but yes, they're very
lively.
Yes.
They're up. They're sprouting.
Yes.
All right.
Gosu all over the house.
Yes.
Thank you, Gosu-nim.
We're gonna get into our story today. What is this?
All right, today we're just going to do one story.
Okay.
If that's okay with you. And
it's
because
fine.
this was something I read earlier in the week, and I was like, wow, this is fascinating. I could spend an hour on this. So
sure.
I'm just going to give you the headline. It's why these Korean Americans are leaving the U.S. to return to their homeland. And this comes to us from LA Times.
Oh.
And it's a long story, but it's basically, you can divide it into two different groups of people who they talk about in the article, and they represent these two groups with a few individuals that they share their story.
Okay.
Sound good?
I'm thoroughly interested. I might fall into.
I imagine you do.
Yes.
Yeah, I imagine you do. So I thought you might have a lot to talk about this. So, so the first group that's leaving the United States to return to Korea is Korean Americans born in South Korea. Do you fall into this group?
I was born in Korea. When I was 3, so yes.
Okay. So they say that this group of people is returning to South Korea in record numbers. And one of the people that falls into this category is named John Tae-yu Kim. He arrived in the U.S. In 1990. He was not 3. He was 30.
Oh, 30. He was a full-fledged adult.
Right.
Yes.
And he was a seminary student. And then while he was in the U.S., he kind of quit that. And he was like, well, okay, so what am I going to do? He got married, started a family, became an American citizen. He moved all over from Baltimore to Anaheim. He worked at a fish shop, a deli, an ice factory, a painting company. And then he finally ended up in Seattle. Opened a teriyaki restaurant.
He was busy.
Right. And then suddenly he's like, now I'm 60. And he's like, oh, wow. And then 3 years ago, he and his wife moved here. And he's like, I'm never going to do manual labor ever again.
Oh, actually, that's kind of the theme I see for all his jobs. Like fish shop, ice factory, painting, that's all
hard
labor.
work.
Yes.
Yeah.
So was that the only reason he wanted to leave the U.S., to get away from manual labor?
No, he said now he's 63.
Okay.
And he said he always wanted to return. He said there's a certain stress and sorrow that comes from living away far from home for so long. And they have adult sons. They've got careers that are, set up in the U.S.
Yes.
So he and his wife moved into a retirement community in Gochang, which, if you're not familiar, is in the southwest part of South Korea. And there's only about 800 residents there, but about a third of them are also first-generation Korean Americans who have come back. Right now, they're enjoying the hot spring, golf, table tennis, a lot of walking paths. He's got time to practice calligraphy, writing poetry.
He's living the life.
Yeah.
I like that because he worked so hard his entire life.
Right. And this is part of a growing immigration trend. They said in the decades since South Koreans emigrated en masse to the United States looking for better livelihoods, because if you think about the time period,
yes,
a lot of them are now coming back to retire amid the comforts of home, as they put it. They said last year, around 9,379 Korean Americans got their American Social Security payments here in South Korea.
Oh, okay.
If you compare that to about 10 years ago, it's like triple the number.
So, by the way, they're getting their retirement fund from the U.S. government.
That's
not
right.
the Korean government, because they're U.S. citizens,
That's right.
So, in all likelihood, are they not going back to the U.S. or they're here for good?
Well, for this particular person, for him, he wonders actually sometimes whether he was happier in the U.S. He said he misses the casual friendliness of Americans, the spaciousness, the more relaxed pace of life, even though he's doing calligraphy here. I'm like, okay. But he said it was so different. He means Korea was so different after he returned after so many years.
Yes.
So it's not perhaps what he was expecting or used to.
That's what, I mean, when I first came to Korea, if I can just, because this is so along the lines of what we're talking about.
Yes.
We literally came and said, let's just not do anything. Let's just play, enjoy life in Korea, expose the kiddies to Korean culture.
Right.
Maximum, we'll stay a year. Maximum.
Really? That was the original
plan.
Wow. It's weird how plans change, huh?
Yeah, that was the plan. It was not like, we never had intentions of not going back.
Right.
We just were like, let's just, we were writing out the 2008, 2009, the economic downturn in the U.S. We knew it was coming. So we came and we were like enjoying life. And then the 1 year turned into 2.
Right.
The 2 turned into 3.
Right.
And here we are.
So you're kind of like the reverse of his situation.
Yeah. So it's like I had no intention of staying.
Right.
But I loved it so much. We're like, why not? So let's talk about another group.
Sure. Well, this is actually another person from the same group. And her name is Cha Da-ki. She's an 80-year-old retired nurse from Temecula. Is that
Temecula.
I knew it. This is why I need you.
Yes.
So she actually left South Korea in 1960. So it's quite a different situation.
Okay.
And she said her reason for coming back to South Korea was boredom. She said there was nothing to do but play golf in the U.S.
Okay, but I have to say, if I were in Temecula, I would be bored too.
See, I thought you had some knowledge that I don't have.
It's very rural. There's
really?
not much going on there.
Okay, so she says...
I'm just saying.
Well, she says nothing but golf.
Yeah.
And she said then all of their golfing friends started leaving one by one.
Aww.
And then 3 years ago, she and her husband settled in Daejeon. It's a city that's lively and safe, as they put it. Public transportation is accessible and free for senior citizens. They don't need to drive.
Yes.
Which in California, I know is an issue.
It's a necessity. You can't get around.
And it's not fun.
No.
From personal experience, not fun. She's made friends from church. Korean food's everywhere, right? Temecula. I'm not sure what's going on in Temecula with Korean food.
Not much, yeah.
But she said, best of all, she and her husband are covered under the single-payer national health insurance plan here.
Yes.
Hospitals are close. They're affordable. This was surprising to me. She said the process of seeing a doctor in the U.S. was so frustrating. Sometimes we used to say, you might as well save yourself the time and die. It was one of the few situations where she felt the language barrier. She said it was always so stressful trying to express exactly what she wanted to say. She had been there since 1960, and she was a nurse.
Oh,
does that not sound like a problem?
And she knows the healthcare system in and out. And we used to have a saying in our family, like, if it's not broken or you're not profusely bleeding.
Yeah.
And we had insurance, health insurance, back then. We really didn't go unless you had to get vaccinated, like, your babies, right? We just didn't go.
Right.
I'm sure you felt, right? We never went for a cold. Come on.
No, and I think I don't remember what the age limit was at that time.
Yes.
I was under my mom's insurance until university, maybe.
18 probably.
And then I probably didn't have it. I don't know. I don't know.
It's like,
do I have to pay for it? No, I won't pay for it.
I know it's different now, but back then, it was kind of like, not everybody had insurance.
Right. So you don't go to the hospital?
Yeah. I didn't, but now it's like I go if I have the cold. If I have a cold, I do. Yes.
For anything?
Yes.
Yeah, right.
I do. Okay. So to kind of move on, tell us more, though. We have time. We have time.
I got one second group that I want to introduce. This is kind of a key point. We're talking about Korean Americans who were born in Korea returning.
Right.
The second group that's hugely migrating here is actually the reverse. They're American-born Koreans who have become disillusioned with life in the United States, and they're kind of coming to the country that's not home for them. Their parents left. So
I felt that way, kind of like, because I went when I was so young.
Right, I thought
I didn't feel like I was coming home. It was so foreign to me.
Right.
I know ethnically I look very Korean.
They've mentioned that in this story a lot.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
So I'm not the only one.
Well, okay, so here, this is a 38-year-old Crystal Kim. She grew up in Mobile, Alabama, which I've been to.
Yes.
So I can guess.
Yes.
She moved to Seoul in 2016, and she said one of the reasons she came here was because she was kind of tired of feeling like a racial minority. And she said at first she didn't know what the feeling was like, but then it was kind of eventually like, oh, I don't feel like people are staring at me in a certain way. And you're from LA.
Yes.
Mobile, Alabama, and Los Angeles are quite
worlds apart.
Yes, quite different, and the amount of Koreans living in each area, I'm sure, very different too.
Very different.
But she's here with a special visa that allows that word, diaspora.
Diaspora, yes.
Thank you. That was a good guess.
Yes.
So she's able to freely work here, live here. She's working part-time as an English teacher, but she's setting up a freelance photography career at the same time. They mention how much she pays for rent for a studio. It's not what you would pay in the U.S. It's
That's true.
$650 a month. Not possible in the U.S.
Right.
She's living in Seoul. There's art exhibitions everywhere. Convenience stores open all night. She says, people ask me all the time, don't you want to move back home? And she means to Alabama, I assume.
And then what does she say?
No, I think I'm good.
Oh.
So she's enjoying it.
Yes.
And she says with the current politics and stuff in the United States,
Right.
the more that I live here, and then every time I go back to the States, it doesn't feel like home anymore. So she's having
That's
that
the thing.
aspect.
Like when we go back to visit the States.
Yes.
It's just it's like there's a bit of nostalgia, and
Sure.
then we call it like 향수병. Like there are certain things I miss about the States.
Sure.
I do, and then like when you go back, you're like, I miss this and I miss that.
Right.
But the thing is, the longer I've stayed here, I feel like, but I can't wait to go back home.
Same for me.
But home is where the heart is, though. Is it not?
It is
It's where your loved ones are.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Right, for sure. So to me, I don't know. Do you still consider the U.S. your home?
No. I don't. I really don't. I honestly, this is the longest I've lived in one place, actual city, in my life.
In your entire life?
In my life.
And it's Busan is your home?
Busan is, lived here for 16 years, literally here.
Oh, longer than I have.
Is that,
yeah.
It's bizarre for me to say.
Right.
And yeah, it's like, I guess this is home.
Right.
Yeah, it's weird.
It
Yeah.
is. It is.
And this is what this article like touches into, and how, even when you look Korean, just because you come back to Korea, are you actually Korean? A lot of people are dealing with that as well.
It's a struggle.
Yeah.
I struggled with that the first at least 3-4 years. I definitely struggled with
And
that.
part of that being language?
Yes. Culture, though. The culture shock.
Right.
It's there.
What people expect of you.
Exactly.
All of this is in this art. It's like fascinating. And I thought you might have some insight into that.
I definitely, I love this story just because I feel like it'll give a glimpse into what maybe, just straight up Korean nationals, they might not realize
Yes.
what some gyopos are thinking. Right.
Yeah, and it's a lot about that. Even the status of being a gyopo, what does that mean?
Well, we're going to call it a wrap.
I know we have to.
So see you next week. Bye.
Your Bridge to the World.
코존 내 불법 주정차 금지, 차량 출발 전 앞뒤 좌우 살피는 습관으로 어린이가 안전한 도시를 만듭니다. 참, 운전 중 휴대전화 사용은 모두에게 위험합니다. 우리 모두를 위한 교통안전, 나부터 실천하면 모두가 안전해집니다. 어린이가 안전하게 뛰어놀 수 있는 부산. 아이 키우기 좋은 도시는 우리 모두의 미래이자 희망입니다. 이 캠페인은 어린이가 안전한 부산을 만드는 은행, BNK 부산은행과 함께합니다.
부산 글로벌 도시재단 대표이사 전용호입니다. 부산은 대한민국의 굳건한 성장 동력으로서 물류, 금융, 영상, 관광, 문화, 디지털 첨단 산업의 중심지인 글로벌 허브 도시로 나아가고 있습니다. 이를 위해 부산 글로벌 도시재단은 부산을 대표하는 도시 외교의 플랫폼을 지향합니다. 세계 평화도시 부산의 브랜드를 강화하는 부산 UN 위크와 부산 글로벌 도시 포럼, 유라시아 도시 외교단, 개발협력 포럼, 그리고 세계 시민축제는 부산의 소프트 파워의 상징으로 자리매김하고 있습니다. 부산영어방송도 시민과 함께 영어하기 편한 도시, 세계와 경쟁하며 더불어 살아가는 부산을 만들어가겠습니다. 시민이 행복한 글로벌 허브 도시 부산, 부산 글로벌 도시재단이 함께합니다.
The time is now 8 o'clock.
Good morning, Dynamic Busan.
Yeah, you're waking up. Time to shake it up. Tell the world good morning and find out what's going on.
Well, hi there, folks. There's everything from comedy to lively chat to music.
Broadcasting from a room about the size of your closet.
All calls are recorded. What show is this?
Live from Korea's dynamic city, this is Morning Wave in Busan.
I'm sorry, who'd you say you were?
It is now 8 o'clock. This is news highlights. South Korea could send arms to Ukraine as North Korean troop movements detected. President Yoon Suk-yeol said yesterday that South Korea could consider providing arms to Ukraine depending on the extent of military cooperation between Russia and North Korea, vowing not to sit idly by. The comments came after a summit with Polish President Andrzej Duda in Seoul, during which both leaders strongly condemned North Korea's troop dispatch to Russia and agreed to strengthen joint responses to growing security threats. Meanwhile, the Ukrainian military said that the first batch of North Korean soldiers have been deployed to the front lines in the Kursk region and that about 12,000 soldiers are in Russia being trained. Putin does not deny North Korean troop deployment to Russia. Russian President Vladimir Putin has sidestepped claims that North Korea has sent soldiers to Russia, insisting that it was up to Moscow how to run its mutual defense clause with Pyongyang. Speaking at the close of the BRICS summit in Kazan on Thursday, he accused the West of escalating the Ukraine war and said it was living an illusion if it thought it could inflict a strategic defeat to Russia. Regarding satellite image of North Korean troop movements, Putin said if there are images, then they reflect something. Abductee families group vows to send leaflets to Pyongyang next week. A group representing the families of those abducted by North Korea vowed to fly leaflets from Paju into North Korea next week, aiming to raise awareness about the abductee issue. The leaflets have been a source of tension between the two Koreas, as the North yesterday released about 20 balloons carrying trash toward South Korea. Gyeonggi provincial government has designated Paju and two other border areas as danger zones. It said it would discuss joint responses to the campaign with the police and the military. Prosecutors request fine for Lee Jae-myung's wife over alleged election law violations. The Suwon District Prosecutor's Office again demanded 3 million won fine against the wife of opposition leader Lee Jae-myung on charges of providing free meals to several people ahead of the 2021 party election. Kim Hae-kyung was indicted for providing meals worth 104,000 won to the wives of 3 former and current party lawmakers using a Gyeonggi government credit card as he was vying to become the party's candidate for the 2022 presidential election. Kim's side has denied the charges, saying she was unaware of the corporate card usage. Inspector General nomination sparks rift within ruling party. Ruling People Power Party PPP chief Han Dong-hoon's call for appointing an independent inspector general investigating corruption by the president's family has revealed fault lines within the party's leadership. During a Supreme Council meeting yesterday, Han said he is entitled to initiate the appointment process as party leader. However, the pro-Yoon side of the party, along with the presidential office, have not accepted this position, demanding a General Assembly of the lawmakers. And this was News Highlights. It is now time for 와글와글, and I don't know what's wrong with me. These past few days, I've been forgetting to grab the script. So here we are approaching. Haley, hand it over. She's helping me. I don't know what's wrong with me today. It's Friday.
We both have like T-Rex arms, and we're just
I know, we're
can't
like,
reach.
T-Rex arms?
I
My
have T-Rex
arms
arm.
are not T-Rex.
I have T-Rex
girlfriend.
arms. All right.
Okay. So we're approaching the season for 수능 or CSATs. Risks of unwitting academic doping are rising.
So we have the CSATs, the Korean College Entrance Exam, was coming up on November 14th, but 3 weeks left. And there are these posts online on social media for academic supplements. Which, you know, I'm like, omega-3s? That's what
I'm
you
thinking
would
like
think of,
walnuts?
right?
Like,
And
what are we talking
supplements
about?
to make you study better. 공부 잘하게 도와주는 약. Because 약 can mean, it's so broad in Korean. It can be
Yes.
drugs, medicine, or supplements like vitamin pills. But these are ADHD medication.
Oh my goodness.
And they're not permitted nor safe to use without a doctor prescription. Well, that's illegal, first of all, and supervision.
Right.
But the National Intelligence Service, the NIS, they've been tracking these posts on Telegram and X. So far, they found 37 chat rooms where they offer this. I mean, it's illegal drug trading.
Right.
And 5 of them did have real-life transactions. And it's
Really?
just what they found. And keep in mind that these platforms, Telegram and X, are notoriously not cooperative towards law enforcement. But the sellers, they were usually university students in the 19 to 25 age group who would use their ID or IDs of someone they know to get ADHD medication and then sell them to people wanting that extra boost. So how does this work? Methylphenidate, which is the ingredient in ADHD medication, but if it is taken by someone who does not have ADHD, does not have those chemicals acting a certain way in the brain, it's a stimulant. So what's supposed to be a depressant for people who do have ADHD to calm them down, it acts as a stimulant. So basically think of it as like massively being on caffeine or much more. It increases, supposedly increases concentration. And it has been known to be misused in the US and now even in Korea.
Yes.
But here's the thing. It's, everything comes at a cost. They're drugs. So side effects include insomnia, aggression, even hallucinations, and much, much more.
Yes.
And I mean, the thing is, these instances of academic doping, this being Korea, unfortunately, they do always exist. However, they get much worse during CSAT season. Therefore, the authorities have warned against these posts online. And by the way, last year, the Food and Drug Safety Ministry, they busted some 200 such cases online.
Wow. So I do understand that this is a really important test, but let's not go to these links to damage your body. And it's illegal once again to do this. All right, up next, a man watched, do we need a trigger warning? A woman shower and knocked on her door for 30 minutes. Okay, that alone is just like so wrong, but was not indicted?
Well, the trigger warning is, and that's the whole point of the story.
Right.
nothing in the legal and physical sense happened, but that's a problem we're going to talk about. So, I mean, it will be very frustrating.
Okay.
And, you know, people get triggered.
Yes.
I don't want to speak to your personal, but anyways. So this is a post from an online community. The writer is a woman who was in the shower.
Yes.
She said that, you know, she was asleep at her home, but somebody came and was just incessantly knocking and ringing the doorbell for 30 minutes.
30 minutes?
That's so long. She called the police, and this is what the man who was doing the knocking and doorbell ringing said. He told the police that he'd been watching her shower since last December.
Gosh,
and he came to, quote, do something. In Korean, that's 어떻게 뭘 해보려고. So,
is that not a threat of like sexual assault?
Yeah.
Because obviously she was not welcoming it.
Right. And, you know. That's
photo?
the photo. He lives in the apartment building next door and watched her from the roof, supposedly. And then the thing is, these buildings have, you know, they have security, but he snuck in behind someone.
Right.
He was wearing, I mean, you can see in the visual, he was wearing a hat, a mask. So he looks to be trying to hide his identity.
Right.
He was wearing a glove, like a surgical glove on one hand. So perhaps fingerprints.
Right.
And yeah, so that's very suspicious.
So, okay. Didn't he pretty much admit that he had the intent to harm her?
It seems so. However, because in the technical and legal sense,
yes,
nothing happened physically.
But he said.
I know. But that led to the prosecution not indicting him. So no charges were pressed against him. He was charged for trespassing, but nothing else. But he did say the words, he was trying to do something. Apparently, legally, you need the suspect to say the explicit words, trigger warning, I try to rape or assault her.
Seriously?
By force. And you need the...
By force?
By force.
Seriously? So the 어떻게 해보려고, that does not mean
anything? It's not enough. So in order to press like premeditation of rape charges, you need the explicit words, which doesn't make me feel safe. Not only that, he apparently claimed to have schizophrenia, and his parents said that, and this is also horrible, he has eyes and the windows were open. So she was there for him to see. Unquote.
Wow.
Yeah, so, I mean, legally, the police said their hands are tied, but they are trying to get protection for her, over her, and if she makes a request, they'll assign her to a smartwatch. And that's a whole different issue of, well, then why would the potential victim be the one who needs monitoring anyways? Yeah, and they will increase patrol around the area.
Oh, that story makes me sad and angry. So
that
many
makes
different
me feel
emotions.
Terrified.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. The child of a Gyeonggi area city council member was apparently involved in a bullying case, and this has angered local parents.
Right. So according to the Gyeonggi Office of Education, 4 sixth graders at a Bundang District Elementary School, they had been sent to the School Violence Assessment Committee for bullying. They allegedly took the victim, another student, to a park, force-fed the victim snacks with sand.
What?
Yeah. And then under a guise of a game, even like physically assaulted the victim. But one of the perpetrators, one of the students, is the child of a Seongnam City Councilwoman, Lee Kyung-young. And she, after the public uproar, she left her party, the People Power Party. However, she's still staying on as the council member. The child, so there are 4 students who were accused of bullying, 2, including the child of the councilwoman. They were ordered to apologize in writing and change classes. The other 2 also apologized, but only to community service because they were deemed as having been involved to a lesser extent. No one was suspended or,
Really?
They just had to switch class. The victim has filed a case against the 4 perpetrating students to the police for assault and battery. But once again, if they're in the 6th grade, they're all under 14, so they are criminal minors.
And some in the local community think that the punishment was just too lenient.
Right. So this anger has also kind of carried over to the parent, the councilwoman Yi, who once again is still serving on the city council. She did apologize for not properly educating her child. However, it's also come out during the parliamentary audit sessions that Yi served on the school's parent association as the chair of the association. So we're not, there's no evidence, but accusations have been raised. And the parents of that school and in the neighborhood have lodged a protest. And this is an interesting, I don't want to say trend, but something that we've been seeing in forms of protest. It kind of happens with like K-pop agencies.
Yes.
people send funeral floral arrangements, 근조화환, to the school and also to locations that they're protesting. So earlier this week, the path to the school, it was lined with 120 such floral arrangements, and they have like the white chrysanthemums with the banners or the ribbons where you can write messages, including a message of support for the victim, calling for school violence to be eradicated, calling for an investigation into the councilwoman. And but the point is the moms and dads and locals of the neighborhood, they're not standing by as bullying happens. Right.
Oh, these stories, not good ones.
Not good.
Okay.
We have a happy one though.
Okay. Because we're gonna finally talk about this song, the song of the moment.
It is huge. 아파트, right? Apartment by Rosé of Blackpink and Bruno Mars. Yes. It is a huge global hit. So it's reached number 1 across all domestic music charts on Spotify. Apartment, it was number 1 on the global top 50. On individual charts across about a dozen countries. Actually, just yesterday, it reached number 1 on Apple Music charts.
Yes.
And that's the first time any South Korean artist has, as a solo artist, has done that.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is pretty amazing. And there are like lots of like memes and videos and stuff like all over social media, right?
Right. So the song's music video, it has reached 100 million views on YouTube, and that was just on Wednesday this week, 5 days after it was released.
Wow.
So it's like one of the fastest to reach that.
Yes.
And if you see that, and it has that such campy value to the music video.
Right.
And I think that's why it's so popular. And there are also videos of people covering it and playing the drinking game that it was inspired by. And yes, I highly recommend our listeners, if you're not driving, to come on YouTube, because against everyone in our team, I'm dressed up as Bruno Mars. This is a dance, kind of.
No, it's not. Haley, didn't I school you? It's 1, 2, 3, 4.
Is that not what I'm doing?
No, you were just doing this.
1, 2, 3. I don't. I have so much swag right now. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah. Can we continue?
And I have to say, our producer whipped up this like blonde wig like at 6:50 in the morning, and I was like, I'm not wearing that. So.
Asana's taking pictures.
Yes,
I think.
only
I can't
Haley.
really
Only
see
Haley.
because I have my sunglasses on.
Right. So I was like, that Elsa, that's an Elsa wig. That's not a rose, cute little, blonde wig. So I was like, So what do you think is the magic behind this whole 아파트 phenomenon?
I mean, as you can see, it is ridiculous and fun. It is ridiculously fun. I'm having so much fun right now. God, we're a news show.
Oh, Tommy said, copy.
He spat out his coffee.
Aww.
See, it's so fun. We're engaging.
Yes.
So this was the process of apparently creating the song because 아파트, the game, the drinking game, is her favorite, says Rosé. And it kind of inspired her to write it while she was teaching her team. And then she kind of felt a little embarrassed because she was like, is this too camp? Is this too too light? So she tried to kind of pull it out of her upcoming album, and the team were like, we're addicted, we're hooked, we can't. Like it's happening.
Like everybody in the beginning, they're like, what is this? 아파트? And then after the 5th time, they're singing it all day long.
Exactly. And that's what happened to us. So music critics, though, I mean, we are a news show.
Yes.
And this is what critics say, and this is what experts are analyzing. It's catchy. It's almost cliche, but so addictive. And that's the quality of 80s pop.
It is.
For example,
I don't even know, where are your eyes? Are we making eye contact?
We are. I'm looking at you.
모르겠어요.
Yeah, it's
안
all good.
보여요.
It's all good.
Okay.
Yeah. So, in fact, 아파트 was inspired by the song Mickey. Yeah. Hey, Mickey. Tony was basic.
The Hey, Mickey,
you're so fine, you blow my mind. And
Mickey.
the writers, Michael Chapman and Nicky Chin, who wrote the song, are also in Apartment's credits. So it actually is,
I like that.
And critics also say that it's unique. It's different from the usual song that we would expect from Rosé and Bruno Mars.
Right.
And I think that was the thing where people are at first taken aback. Like, that's not what?
People are obsessed. Like, everybody's like, all the guys are like, so jealous because he got a kiss on the cheek in the music video. And people are like obsessed about that. The guys are.
Right. And that's why it's different, is why it's also popular.
Yeah. And of course, listeners here in Korea of a certain age, and I had to look this up because I wasn't sure if that's the song, but the 윤수일 song, that 아파트 song,
the first
yes,
아파트.
yes.
It's a 1982 hit of the same name, also getting renewed attention. It's 별빛 흐르는 다리를 건너. It's that song. Oh, shout out. Yeah, that. We need a PD cam.
We need
or
a mic on her.
She's like
singing
my
the whole
backup singer
song,
right now.
Right.
So some comments, and people are having fun.
Yes.
And this is the thing about these songs nowadays. It's not just about like chart hitting, like musical ability value. It's how people can interact with it on social media, whether you are using this song to create short form videos or writing witty comments. For example, they say, "Oh, I came here looking for the 신축 아파트, the new model apartment, Rosé, but I like the 구축 version too. Oh, we like the old version, old building too."
OG.
And they're congratulating Mr. Yunsul on, "Hey, congratulations on your apartment getting redeveloped. 재건축 축하드립니다." Yeah.
Ooh, I love K-netizens.
Right.
That's
and
so funny.
Yunsul himself on a recent radio show said he loves that a song by the same name is getting global attention. And and there's also a meme saying like if you recognize 아파트 as the Yunsul song, it's time for you to get a colonoscopy for your annual checkup because you're at that age.
네. In Korean, how would you say that?
윤수일의 아파트가 먼저 떠오르시면 여러분 대장 내시경 받으셔야 돼요.
그리고 우리 분명히 뉴스 프로그램인데요. 그래서 저는 제 자리를 지키고 가발을 거부했습니다.
I have no dignity.
All right. What is Tommy saying? Haley looks like more like a Yunsul when he was young. While he's cleaning up his laptop, he says, from the coffee that
he's bitter.
Was emitted. Well, thank you so much, our Bruno Mars. Oh, there you go. You got it now. You got it. All right.
I'm going to rewind and watch that.
So Monday we'll be back to serious news. Have a wonderful weekend.
Bye.
Bye. That was Haley, a.k.a. Bruno Mars. And we have to get to your updated traffic and weather. Back to serious news. Here's your traffic update. There's an accident on the Dongso overpass coming into the city. There was a two-car crash on the Kamjeon ramp. So please be aware of this. Congestion on Yeonsuro from Suyong intersection to Mangmi intersection. It's also looking slow from Hwangyang Tunnel to Hwangyang ramp on the Dongso overpass. Also, backed up on Pyeonglo from Taeyeon ramp to Gwangan Tunnel. As for the weather, it's currently 17. It's going to go up to 24 today, partly cloudy skies. Tomorrow, an expected low of 18 going up to 23. On Sunday, it's going to drop down a little bit more. A low of 15, a high of 23 with a chance of rain. This was your traffic and weather. So here is the original 아파트 by 윤수일. So is it 구축?
별빛이 흐르는 다리를 건너 바람 부는 갈대숲을 지나 언제나 나를 기다리던 너의 아파트 그리운 마음에 전화를 하면 아름다운 너의 목소리 언제나 내게 속삭이던 너의 목소리 흘러가는 강물처럼 흘러가는 구름처럼 머물지 못해 떠나가 버린 너를 바보처럼 미련 때문에 다시 또 찾아왔지만 아무도 없는 쓸쓸한 너의 아파트 흘러가는 강물처럼 흘러가는 구름처럼 머물지 못해 떠나가 버린 너를 못 이기죠. 오늘도 바보처럼 미련 때문에 다시 또 찾아왔지만 아무도 없는 쓸쓸한 너의 아파트 아무도 없는 쓸쓸한 너의 아파트 아무도 없는 쓸쓸한 너의 아파트 아무도 없는 쓸쓸한 너의 아파트
Welcome back. I swear we're a news show. We are. We're so serious. But that was in the news. We cover the latest breaking, trendiest, hot news, and that was what's in the news. So today we've been talking about what song or songs you would like to see kind of get a remake, a do-over. And so maybe a 역주행 as well, 리메이크나 역주행 그런 토픽을 던져봤는데요. So looking at the various responses that you have sent in, so I'm scrolling furiously because I got to find some of the messages because the last 50 messages were about that Yoon song. So I believe it's Mikkel. Says Mariah Carey's Hero. That's such an iconic song, but I would love to hear that sung by somebody else, right? That's a good choice as well. JB says Boys to Men, Water Runs Dry. That's a tough one too, because Boys to Men, they're so amazing. But the newer artists, I would love to get their take, a fresh take on something that is so good. But you know what? I still think that the originals in their own sense are amazing. And, a remake, I think that's a tribute to the original. So we're not trying to get rid of the old songs. Definitely not. As you just heard, we played that 1982 song with people even saying that it feels like a 성인 나이트 필로? Yeah, but because that's what's trending right now. Well, we're going to get to our special interview. It's all about happiness and teachers. Here in Korea, there's been a lot of talk about concern for students' mental health. And not just so here, but all around the world, we care about our young ones and their mental health. And rightly so. Especially here, we have a very competitive nature in terms of academics and society in general. But we also need to take care of those who are nurturing these students, the educators, the teachers. So we're no strangers to the struggles that teachers go through, and we've covered this several times here on our program. Meanwhile, in the U.S., there is a happiness class for teachers that's making a positive impact on educators' mental health. So let's find out what this is all about. Joining us is Dr. John Sommers-Flanagan, professor of counseling at the University of Montana and creator of the Evidence-Based Happiness for Teachers course. Hi, welcome to our program.
Hello, thanks for having me. I've been listening for a few minutes and I already love your show.
Oh, my
thank
God.
you.
I'm happy and a little embarrassed at the same time, but thank you. We fully appreciate your compliment. So, first of all, what inspired you to create this like evidence-based happiness for teachers course? How did it come about?
I had the good fortune of being asked to write a grant, a proposal to the Arthur M. Blank Family Foundation, and to pick my topic. And of course, Arthur Blank is the owner of the Atlanta Falcons, and his foundation gives away a ton of money. It was a great opportunity. So I thought about, well, who is hurting? And I thought about healthcare workers, and then I thought about teachers, and I decided to write the grant to offer a happiness course for teachers, and in a way, deliver it in a way that they could receive it as an offering, as something that would actually help them in a positive way.
So happy that you did it in the first place. But I also hear that it might have evolved from your work. Is there a connection? Because I know you have worked in the field of suicide prevention.
Yes. And I know you mentioned student mental health and children's mental health a minute ago. And so I have done a lot of work historically since the 1990s, since the 20th century. I've been working in the area of suicide assessment and treatment and doing lots of training for mental health professionals. And, that's a hard topic. It's a hard topic. It's maybe a little bit depressing. And so right around 2020, my wife and I, and she's also a clinical psychologist, talked about how can we focus on the other end of the continuum where we're talking more about happiness and what's called positive psychology.
Yes. So I love the fact that, you from one end to the other of the spectrum, as you say, so you decided to focus on the positive. Let me ask you this, though. Why do you think teachers, particularly in really high stress environments, for example, yes, the U.S. as well, and here in South Korea, are in need of this type of course right now, more so than ever?
Mm-hmm. Well, every day they go to work, right? And as we mentioned before, there's a big problem with children's mental health. And so they're facing into large groups or medium-sized groups of children that they need to manage every day. They're not, at least in the United States, they're not paid very much. They also don't get much prestige. There's been a little bit of a mentality in the United States where educators are dismissed and underappreciated. And so I think this is a time when they are extremely stressed about going to work, having to perform every day. And it has adverse effects on their mental health and on their physical health.
Yes. So as you talk about this whole, not getting enough prestige or being underappreciated, it's quite similar here in Korea, at least these days, as of recent years. Can you also explain this whole concept, the happiness concept from Aristotle? What is this and how is it kind of the foundation for your happiness course?
So the term is called eudaimonia or eudaimonic happiness. And when we think about happiness and we think about way back to Aristotle talked about eudaimonic happiness as really being the kind of meaningful happiness that we should strive toward. It's contrasted a little bit with hedonic happiness, which is to have fun, and it's really all about pleasure.
Yes.
Now, I want you to know that we're not against pleasure. We're not against fun. We're not against all kinds of good things.
Yes.
Dancing is really good. All right, so, but what we mean by eudaimonic happiness, and I think the best definition and the easiest one is it's that sweet spot where our own particular talents and strengths and resources and virtues are intersecting with the world, with our community, with our families. And so it has a social quality, and it's about community and how we can fit into community and engage in a meaningful way with our own unique positive qualities. That's a really nice experience. And I think, for example, just listening to you on the radio, I hear that happening. You have some amazing strengths and skills, and you're communicating and you're involved in your community in a positive way.
Oh, yes. I love this idea. You're saying the sweet spot and like community, because I feel like we definitely have that with, we call them wavers because it's Morning Wave in Busan. This constant connection and just the communication kind of feels like a real community. But for teachers, I'm sure that's really important too, because they're going into schools kind of like almost a battleground sometimes, are they not?
Exactly. And it adversely affects them in many ways. And one of the things that's really important is for them to be able, and they feel awkward at first, but when I have them talk with each other about their own unique gifts in the schools and in the classrooms, it builds a little bit of momentum because they can feel the meaningfulness of their particular personality and their strengths in the school, and that's a good thing.
Yes, it definitely is. And I don't know, I think just generally speaking, even as a parent, I mean, happy teachers, does that not equate into happy students is, of course, my thinking, of course, my humble opinion. Let's also talk about this, though, the positive psychology techniques from the course. For example, the 3 good things. What exactly are the 3 good things?
So 3 Good Things is a little packaged, it's really old. The idea is very old. It comes from monasteries and even before that probably, but it was packaged by a guy named Martin Seligman, who was the president of the American Psychological Association, and he decided to create these positive psychology interventions. So 3 Good Things is very simple. As you're going to bed, you can write down or you can think about 3 good things that happened that day. So you identify the 3 things, but then the most important part, I believe, and I think he believes, is then you ask yourself why. So 3 things, and why did those 3 things happen?
Wow, that's pretty deep. And, you know, I used to have like a kind of a gratitude journal, but I used to do in the morning. But I kind of like that, the going to bed and thinking back on your day about the 3 good things. And most importantly, as you said, the why, right? Yes.
The reason the why is important is because we all naturally, as we're going to sleep, will begin to ruminate or think over and over about things that are coming up, like what we might be anxious about tomorrow or what we might be sad about from today. And so we think about that, and that kind of gets stuck in our brain. And so the idea is, if we're thinking about why the good things happened, that gives us something, our brain, something to chew on that's positive, as opposed to chewing on something negative as we go to sleep.
Well, you know, this program that you've created, it just sounds wonderful, especially, you know, in theory, I would love to do it. But what would you say to some teachers who might feel really down and out, really overwhelmed or kind of skeptical to try something like this happiness kind of program or intervention, and trying to include that in their daily routines?
Our philosophy is to never say anyone should do anything, to never say to anyone, cheer up or look at the bright side. Those are examples of toxic positivity, and we avoid that. So the first thing I would say to a teacher who is feeling overwhelmed and like maybe he, she, they cannot get the time or the energy to do it, I would say, that's okay, and you don't have to do it. The whole point is for you to try to do it if and when you're ready. And if you're not ready or you don't ever want to, that's okay. And we only want, all we're asking is for people to experiment with these things in their lives and then to make the determination themselves as to whether or not it feels helpful to them.
Ah, yes. I love that idea that you just spoke about. So as we look towards this course, obviously we don't have it right now here in Korea, but what is it that you're hoping for, the long-term impact of this course, specifically in general, types of courses like this for the well-being of teachers, not just in the States, but maybe here in Korea or even all around the world? What are you hoping for?
Yeah, I have a really good imagination.
Okay.
And of course, I can imagine this being something that's meaningful and helpful to people around the world and forever. On the other hand, I'm also realistic. And I know that sometimes a course like this will have immediate effects. And what we have found is that we have immediate effects, and it reduces depression, it improves sleep. People have better health, fewer sick days afterwards. And so I believe in the immediate effects. It's really an open question about whether or not teachers can continue to practice these things in the long run and continue to make their lives feel better. I hope so, but I would bet that they will like almost everything. They'll need boosters and they will need other versions of it, right?
Yes. But even our listeners are commenting, some saying like, oh, I wish we had this type of positivity in education when I was in the field. Another message saying, I really love this idea. I wish I could have access to this program. So definitely, you are making an impact, not just in the States, but even our listeners who are tuning in right now. So I do want to thank you so much for sharing this with our waivers today.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
All right, everybody. This was our special interview with Dr. John Sommers-Flanagan. We talked about this happiness course for teachers. I wish we had this here in Korea as well, because I feel like sometimes our teachers, they are so inundated with so much work, not just in the classroom, and they have all that admin work on top of that. And, you know, as they say, kids these days, it might be a stressful environment for all of those involved. Happy teacher, to me, equals happy students. And here is Bravo My Life. This is by 봄, 여름, 가을, 겨울.
서툴게 살아왔던 후회로 가득한 지난 날 그리 좋진 않지만 그리 나쁜 것만도 아니었어 성향도 없는 저녁 내일 하루도 흐리겠지 힘든 일도 있지 드넓은 세상 살다 보면 하지만 앞으로 나가 내가 가는 곳이 길이다 Bravo my life 나의 인생아 지금껏 달려온 너의 용기를 위해 Bravo my life 나의 인생아 찬란한 우리의 미래를 위해 내일은 더 낫겠지 그런 작은 희망 하나로 사랑할 수 있다면 힘든 1년도 버틸 거야 일어나 앞으로 나가 네가 가는 곳이 길이다 Bravo my life 나의 인생아 지금껏 살아온 너의 용기를 위해 Bravo my life 나의 찬란한 우리의 미래를 위해
Vasana, aka our 아저씨. 아재.
Tommy talking about kind of like this for the disco
I don't know.
dance?
Tommy was like, he was dissing your disco dancing.
It wasn't disco dancing. It was ajashi dancing.
Really?
Ajashi, yeah, I'm an
Your
ajashi.
aja dance?
Yeah.
Proud of it?
Well, it's what you do when you're in the Noribang with lots of other people and
That's true.
having a good time.
Yeah.
Especially with that usha.
Well, I wish we could just continue this Notabang atmosphere, but we're a news show.
Yeah.
What do you have for us for What in the World?
What in the world?
Yes.
Before
what
I
in the world?
start, I want to give an update on the King Conker, the guy with the steel ball.
Yeah. What happened?
He's been cleared.
He's been cleared.
He has been cleared and has officially been crowned the champion for 2024.
I don't know.
His excuse was that he painted the steel ball to look like a chestnut to show it off to children.
Really?
Which raises even more questions, but I'll leave that one there. But the officials were sure he did not use it to cheat in the final.
Okay.
So that's final.
It's settled.
Yeah, it's settled. Okay, next up is a driving story, which is
driving a car?
Driving a car, which is why I wanted to start this morning with Guten Morgen. But we got disturbed by Aparte. But anyway, so there's been a lot of news this year in Korea about drunk driving.
Yes.
With Moon Jae-in's daughter allegedly driving drunk. Sugar earlier in the year, Kim Ho-jung,
etc. Yes.
So in Germany last week, a couple of weeks ago, a man was photographed speeding, going 11 kilometers over the 80 kilometer speed limit. So usually in every country, in every country, usually they give you 10 kilometer.
There's a leeway.
Yeah.
Yes.
So he purposely went over by 1. So he could get pictured, and I'm wondering if our lovely, beautiful producer could put the picture up on the net so that they can have a look. Okay, so there's no news about speeding. What was news was that it seemed to be done on purpose, as I said. So on the left, if the picture is up.
The picture, she's getting it up.
Yep, on the left.
Ah, there it is.
Yes.
Wait, is that Cookie Monster?
Yes.
What is going on? Is it Halloween?
So just for some people who don't know who Cookie Monster is, I put the picture on the right. So that's the actual Cookie Monster from Sesame Street.
Right.
So Cookie Monster is a person who a puppet that just eats
a person.
Cookie. Well, it was
a
person,
character.
a puppet.
A character.
Yeah. Do you have any impressions of Cookie Monster?
No, I want to see yours.
Oh no!
Please.
No.
Aw.
Okay, so it's sort of like a combination between a jazz singer and some crazy person. Okay, so he's going along. This is where I learned the term nom nom nom. So he's going
nom nom nom.
He's going,
yes.
Nom 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 nom. Ah, cookie, cookie.
Oh, you sound just like him. That's a good one. You have found your talent, Masana. I'm serious. That was good.
I can do lots of voices. Anybody who wants to hire a voice actor, I'm there.
Okay.
Sprachen Sie Deutsch? Jawohl. Okay,
so what happened?
So the German police were not amused. And so I was going to crack on about Germans and not being amused, but I'll leave that one there. I might get in trouble. So on their FB account, they entered a long post in German. So I translated that using a translator.
Thank you.
So it's translated, yes, of course. It's really funny to put a Cookie Monster mask over your head, drive along the A45 and let the lightning flash and take your picture. But putting the fun aside.
Okay.
And it has a thumbs down emoji. Number 1, it's not funny to miss another road user with a limited field of vision at 91 kilometers an hour.
True.
Number 2, thumbs down. It's not funny to cause a traffic accident like that.
True.
And number 3, thumbs down. It's not funny to seriously injure or kill someone. So, with a term like that, the term fun police is ironically upgraded.
Right.
And being German, as I said before, I'll leave it at that. So yes, it's this story following our lovely professor before talking about eudaimonia.
Eudaimonia.
Yeah, I love that word. Yes. But anyway, let's go on to the next story.
Yes.
Staying with cars.
Okay.
In Japan, taxi passengers can pay cabbies for themed rides.
You can?
Yes.
They have like the quirkiest kind
everything.
of unique
whatever you need.
things in Japan. Yes.
Yeah, he was talking about the other type of happiness. And this is what Japanese
Hedonic.
people are. Yeah, hedonic happiness.
Yes.
So various companies have taken it to a different level by offering them things that cost extra, 5,000 yen extra, which is about 45,000 won.
Ooh.
So these are just some of them. So we got a picture up. I brought along a couple of pictures. First one is ninja bodyguards.
Is this for real?
This is for real. So when you get picked up, the driver is dressed all in black and he is pretending to be communicating with people at the destination. And they are dressed as ninja warriors.
Wow.
Sometimes they have water guns,
yes.
pretending to be real guns, or dressed as ninjas as they are here. When you get dropped off, the ninjas meet you and then take you to the door of your destination.
Okay, if that's your thing. If ninjas are your thing, I guess.
If ninjas are your thing. But there's lots more. So I just chose one more.
Yes.
So the next one is very popular, would be very popular at the moment because Halloween.
It's coming up next week.
It's coming up next week.
Yes.
It's a week away. And this weekend, a lot of bars in Busan are having
What
it.
is that?
So, So passengers can choose to have a ring, R-A-N-G. Remember the...
Oh, the ring. Oh, that was a scary... that's a character
so she's
coming out of the
TV.
well ring. Yeah.
So it can also include an AR feature, which is where a holographic image, it looks like it's coming through the TV.
Oh, gosh.
Through the rear monitor of the cab. So a lot of cabs in Japan, they have a monitor at the back of, and in Seoul now these days. Excuse me. So, and lots of other horror themes in taxis these days.
Yes.
Yes, just on that note.
Okay.
In Korea, we don't have paid theme rides.
No.
But I know I have caught some taxis that have had some themes inside their taxi. So I was wondering, have you ever caught a taxi that has been decorated inside or?
I've seen... I haven't, not too like weird, but like just I've seen drivers who are very religious in their own right. So they have lots of like Buddhist... Buddhist like lotus, symbolic stuff according to their whatever they follow.
Yeah.
And I've had Christian drivers as well.
Yeah.
They deck out there. But what are we talking about?
Okay, I suppose the strangest or best or weirdest one was one where a taxi had put fluffy carpet all over the inside of his cab. And he had a disco. Speaking of disco, he had
a disco ball.
He had a disco ball in the middle of the taxi.
In Busan?
In Busan. As soon as he found out I was a foreigner, he started playing some English disco music. And of course, we were drunk, so we were dancing to it as well. I was actually disco dancing that day.
that day for real?
Yeah, that day for real.
In a taxi?
So, in a taxi. We all enjoyed that ride. I will never meet him again, probably, because he was quite old. This was
you should have taken a photo.
About 18 years ago. I probably did take a photo, but I'm glad it's lost.
Okay, what's our next story?
The next story involves leaving a destination. So taxis, you're going to a destination. See, I'm trying to segue things here.
Yes,
so
yes.
Leaving a destination. An airport in New Zealand has gone viral for the following sign.
And we got to see it. And we're going to describe it too because...
for those of you who are driving and not looking at...
as you should not be.
As you should not be.
Yes,
you should not be watching. You should be listening.
Right.
So the signs here were meant as an alternative to those at airports. So some other airports, they clamp your wheels. So when you have a drop-off point, drop somebody off, there's usually, they usually give you a waiting, allow you to drop them off.
Okay.
And they say, please do not park here.
Yes.
Yeah. So you basically just drop them off and then go away. So in New Zealand, when we finally get the picture up, they have a sign saying...
do we have a picture? I want to see the sign.
You want to see the sign?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. What is that? Aww. Max hug time, 3 minutes.
Yeah, maximum hug time, 3 minutes.
And then what does it say?
It's
for toddler?
fonder.
Oh, fonder. Okay. I need to get my eyes checked. For fonder farewells, please use the car park.
Yeah.
Aww.
We'll get a room. We'll get a room.
Hello. We are a PG, family show, Vasana. Oh my gosh.
But anyway,
Okay.
so that's what I usually do if I drop friends off at the airport here
Don't
at
get a room.
Kimhae.
Yes.
No, I don't get a room. No.
No
I
hug?
just drop them off and then go and park the car.
Oh, you
and then
do?
I come back.
Oh, you do? You actually go back?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, I feel guilty now.
I usually drop them off. I'll drop you off next time.
Okay. You're going to actually park the car and then come
park
back?
The park and
That's so
park the
sweet.
park the car and then come back and then.
I'm kind of like, we've said our goodbyes
What?
in the car. Oh, I get out, go.
Your hubby doesn't do that? Oh, yeah.
I'm the person dropping him off.
Okay, you just say bye.
No. When he goes to
Naga.
like trips abroad, I do get out and I walk him to the KTX train
Yes.
because he has to take a flight up to Incheon, right? From Incheon, so
And then
yeah.
갔다 오지 마. Okay.
가서 오지 마. 오래오래 있어.
So
Yes.
the reason why is because some airports in Britain,
Yes.
they impose fees for every drop off.
Oh, really?
So
For
even if
every-
it's just for a few seconds. So
like that.
I looked this up because I thought, no, they don't do that.
That can't be true, but apparently
So
it is.
in Leeds, £6.50 for 10
Yes,
minutes. London, £6 for 10 minutes.
Oh.
So London being a very busy airport, you can imagine.
Heathrow, yes.
Yeah.
Well, on that note,
Yes.
we're going to have to symbolically hug each other. Here we go.
Auf Wiedersehen.
We'll say goodbye for the week, but we'll check in with you next week. Thank you, Vasana.
Thank you.
And with that, it is time to wrap up our program, not just for today, but for the entire week. So I hope you enjoyed our Friday morning program together. Here's our final song. This is Stand Alive by the Bee Gees to take us out. So have a fantastic one. Bye, everybody.